We are back. We've reached the 9 o'clock hour of the Fox 25 Morning News on this Tuesday morning. And when you look outside and you see the temperatures and you see the snow, you think spring break. You're never too old for spring break.
Exactly.
It can be
got
fun.
my ticket. All-inclusive, Cancun, yeah.
Look at this guy. We're going to tell you how to, you got to be careful, though, because there can be accidents and other things happen, arrest, jail time. Yes, we've heard stories about that. And you may need some legal advice. We're going to teach you how you can stay away from that and certain things you should, precautions you could take, and take notes.
Yes, we'll have a lawyer here explaining all of that. So looking forward to that. Welcome back. It's that time of year. College students are preparing for their hotly anticipated spring break. Families are getting ready for trips for February vacation, and while it's a fun time, it can also be a time of bad decisions leading to accidents, arrest, injuries, even jail time. This year, don't send your kids away with just sunblock and some spending money, but with some knowledge about their rights. And here to help us is Marianne LeBlanc, an attorney with Sugarman & Sugarman. I should note, a clean record for a spring break for you as well.
That's right. Thank you, Brett.
Let's go through a couple examples here. If you have a child that's on spring break, maybe they're staying at a hotel and they have too much to drink, they do something stupid, they break a bone. Who's liable in that situation in terms of medical costs?
Well, the first thing, of course, Brett, is you want to avoid that situation from occurring at all. But if it does, a few of the things that need to be considered are, was the person underage? Where was that person drinking? What were the conditions at the hotel or business where that injury occurred? You know, although we teach our kids that they need to take responsibility for their actions and the consequences of their actions, there are times where the actions of the business, such as a hotel, can lead to bad things happening to kids on spring break. So
there is a scenario where the hotel could be sued, but is that null and void if your child is underage and has been drinking? I mean, how does that factor into it?
It's certainly not null and void if your kid is underage or has been drinking. We all have a duty of reasonable care and can be held liable for our own negligence, but the hotel needs to, a hotel has a very high duty of care to its guests, and that includes needing to keep the hotel safe in terms of security, to make sure that the hotel is free from any defects. And if they violate those duties, if they serve alcohol to minors, if they overserve alcohol, if they fail to make sure that the hotel is safe for its patrons, free from defects, and someone gets hurt as a result, the hotel can and should be held accountable.
Let's talk about the kid then. Is there a scenario where your child could be sued in a situation like that?
We all have a responsibility of due care to one another. So if a child is negligent or careless and someone gets hurt, they can be held liable for that. So we need to teach our kids that they need to use common sense, that they should not act carelessly toward another, which would include not drinking to excess, which can often lead to those kinds of problems. And as a parent, you should also check with your insurance agent to make sure that your child is listed on your homeowner's policy so that there is coverage if something like that were to occur.
And what about your rights when you're traveling abroad versus if you're going to traveling within the States for spring break?
When you travel abroad, you are subject to the jurisdiction of the country in which you are traveling. So it's difficult to answer that question broadly. In terms of the right to sue, there are many international travel companies, hotels that do business abroad but have offices here, so there may be jurisdiction to sue and bring a claim here. The most important thing that an international traveler can do is to educate themselves on what the laws are in the country or countries in which they will be traveling. And the United States Embassy is a great resource for that, and also there's a great website from the State Department, which is travel.state.gov, which provides up-to-date travel advisories and also country-by-country information for travelers.
We'll get you out of here on this because you mentioned knowing if you are going to study, if you are going to travel abroad, to know what the rules are there and the laws are there. But what should a family keep in mind if they're heading out for February break?
Well, you know, number one, the most important thing you can do is to really spend the time to plan so that you have a safe and fun trip. If something bad were to occur, of course, the most important thing is to make sure that everybody gets the help that they need, worry about legal issues later. If something were to occur, gathering documentation, witness information, consulting with an appropriate attorney. Those are all things which could make a difference later in a legal case. I do have a couple of quick tips for families who may be traveling. If you're signing documentation at a hotel, often there is a disclaimer of liability that the hotel has. I suggest that you strike that, initial that, so you're not providing any waiver of responsibility. Also, check with your insurance agent to make sure that you have appropriate insurance in terms of any rider on your automobile insurance policy if you're going to be driving outside of the country, and to make sure that you have traveler's insurance so that you have health insurance if you're hurt or sick when you're outside of the state or the country.
Certainly a lot of pre-work to be done before heading out on a trip. Marianne LeBlanc, we certainly appreciate the time this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.